You like the art that I put in the background?
It's pretty good. Looks like somebody I know. A bunch of Gators playing poker.
Well, I was trying to see if I can maybe get rid of my.
Whoops. What happened to
No, I was just going to try to.
Oh.
But anyway, you see it.
Yeah. What is
it? Says it actually says Troupe right back there, and it says Buddy on this number 13. So.
Am I the good
They're watching Florida, Georgia, or they're supposed to be.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
You know, it's the power of AI, man. Pretty awesome. Welcome to the big show, everybody. Trying to stay exciting and engaging for you on this Thursday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show, the Orange and Blue Bloods. Tonight's going to be Ben Troupe.
I like that I have that artwork for my college bar.
That word?
Yeah.
You can have it. It just says Orange and Blue Bloods.
I also got just a nice picture from Dan Bond, an old program. Florida, Georgia. Yeah, I sent it to you. But
there's Dan Bond. All right.
It says Georgia, Florida, but not Florida, Georgia. Just so you know.
Well, then that's the wrong combination.
Evening to Becky Carlisle. She's up first tonight in the pole position, and Perry Mason right by. Let's get this show started. It's Orange and Blue Bloods Thursday, Brendan.
Yeah, it is. Ben Troupe, Loren Meadows, Franz Beard.
The team, the Orange and Blue team.
Me, you, and I think that's it, right?
That's enough. That's plenty.
And then we got an interview.
Let's start off with this because this is really good. We meant to play it last night. It's Chris Doring interviewing Graham Mertz. We're seeing a different side of this guy. I was really impressed. When you come back, you want to roll that?
Yeah, we'll watch that and much more. Tell your friends and neighbors we're on the air, and make sure you smash the subscribe button. 53% of you who watch this show do not subscribe to this channel. It is free.
Come on, do this.
Subscribe. We need you to subscribe. What did somebody say last night? It says the best, most underrated, unsubscribed show on YouTube. And we've had enough of that. So everybody.
Maybe we're just not any good. I don't know. Maybe
we're you know what? There's 53% of you watching this show and not subscribing. You're in trouble. If you're on Facebook, you need to go over to YouTube. We got one more night of this, and then you are going to be out of luck, folks. So we'll be right back with more right after this.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Dilly to you all. Welcome to the show. If you've missed it before, welcome to the Orange and Blue Blood Show. Buddy, should we just get right to it? Play this interview with Chris Doring.
I like this picture a lot, yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm sure. I know. It's talent. Just tons of talent, oozing with talent.
Mm-hmm.
This interview is shared to us courtesy of the SEC Network, so we say thank you to them, of course. And Chris Doring, obviously, who is one of the main talents on the program, interviewed Graham Mertz. Did I get that right, buddy?
Yeah, he did, and his partner.
So check it out. We're going to watch that interview right now.
Welcome back, SEC This Morning, presented by Yellowwood. Big Monday here on the show, kind of what we learn through, 7 weeks of the season.
Hard to believe.
And one of the things we learned about is, hey, this guy creates a little bit of magic, and they needed it. Williams-Brice Stadium was rocking. The Florida Gators needed some big-time plays, taking some big shots here, CJ.
Yeah, one of the things that we wanted to see from Florida's offense is more vertical passing game, and we certainly got that. Graham Mertz throws for over 400 yards. A great complement of receivers led by that guy, Ricky Pearsall. And, Graham, been looking forward to having you on since that game on Saturday. As a Florida guy, nothing better than walking to class on Monday morning after a big win on Saturday. Do you have Monday classes at all today? Do you get to experience that?
Not in person. I'm all online, man. So I get the joy of walking around this facility and just kind of feeling the juice and know we got a lot of work ahead. So I'm not in person, but that's what we get with school now.
Yeah. Grant, we can fix that, man, because there's Wi-Fi all on campus. Like, you can go sit in the middle of the quad and take the class out there and just let people come out there and kind of kiss the ring. I joke about that, but there's a leadership that you exude, right? And your guys are down 10, 5 minutes to go. Walk me through what's happening on that Florida sideline.
Yeah, man. I mean, especially in a game like that with that environment, and you're down 10 with 9 minutes left. I just kept hitting all the guys. Like, there's an old Tom Brady quote where it's, if you got time and downs, you still got a chance to win the game. So, I kept hitting them the entire game. Like, this thing's not over. I just had that gut feeling like we're going to win this game. And I was proud of how the guys just kept battling. That resilience really showed, and that was a fun game to play in.
There was a lot of talk heading into the game this week about how you guys had played in your 2 previous road games. Coach Napier mentioned kind of changing up the schedule a little bit. From the get-go, the sense of urgency was there that I didn't see against Kentucky. The energy on the sideline was there that I didn't see early in the season. What was different for you guys as a team heading into this one than maybe it was the 2 previous road trips?
Yeah, honestly, I think I said it after the game on live TV, but I think the biggest thing was just the week of prep. And you say urgency, and I think our entire building had it, from support staff to coaches to players. I mean, there was just a level of urgency and attention to detail that was really contagious. So, I mean, we knew that, like, it was that feeling when, I'm sure you've had that, where you're getting ready for a game and you're in the locker room looking around, you're like, okay, like, we're ready to go. And there was no flinch. We knew what we had to do. We had a great week of prep, so it was really just time for us to go show what we had done the whole week. So my biggest thing was I was just so proud of the entire work week, and just across the board. I mean, everybody they had that urgency, and they were having fun doing it. So, I mean, going to that game, I knew we were ready to go.
Yeah, and Billy even talked about it after the game. He said, we had a great week, a fantastic week of practice, and it led up to that. The game plan looked a little bit different. What's that conversation you have that in the quarterback room or when talking about the game plan that looked different than it had maybe in games past?
Honestly, going into the game, I mean, every game we have, I mean, I love our game plan. And there were a few chances where in prior games where I had the chance to take a shot deep, and I might have hung onto the ball a little bit too long and stuff like that. So my entire week and my focus was just getting that ball out early, letting all these fantastic playmakers make plays. So, I mean, the game plan didn't really change. I think we did a better job of truly executing it and pushing the ball downfield and letting the guys that make those plays every single day in practice showcase that during the game. So, I mean, across the board, I think that, like I said, the week of prep was just fantastic. Guys were making plays. I mean, the catch that Khalil had, I mean, he does that like every day in practice. I mean, Ricky's out there making plays. Trey's making plays. Burke, Arliss, Hayden. I mean, everybody that we have out there, I mean, they do it during the week. So for us, it was just, we had a great week of pushing it downfield in practice, and we knew that was going to translate to the game.
Keep doing that in practice so we can continue to see that vertical passing game the rest of the year. You're being humble. You're being humble here, man. Now, I'm going to hype you up. One of the things I love the most about you is your feel in the pocket, your ability to slide, to buy you a little extra time for guys to uncover. As a former receiver, nothing I like to see better than a guy scrambling with his eyes down the field, letting me uncover as a guy getting open in the secondary. Let's look at that last drive. on that fourth down play, you got a free blitzer coming right off the right side of the offensive line. You slide, make him miss, have the ability to throw the ball downfield to Ricky. Where did that feel develop for you? Is this a something new within this offense, maybe being in the shotgun more, that gives you the time to see what the defense is doing? Or has this always been something that's a plus in your assets?
I think just in general, having that feel for what's coming. I think that especially at a point like that in the game, you get a feel for kind of we always talk about the flavor of the day and what their game plan was, especially coming off a bye week. You knew they were going to have a few wrinkles, so they brought a few more pressures than we were expecting. But at that point in the game, I knew I had man coverage. I knew I had Ricky on that slot fade, so I caught the ball, knew I had a free rusher, and just had to make a miss and then make a play. First, second, and third down didn't go the way we planned, but when the play comes, you got to be able to make the play.
Yeah, I mean, even the deflection there seemed like it went your way into the hands of Trey. So let's talk about the connection though with Ricky. Sometimes you just have a feel for a guy. When did you and he, having not played together before the season, when did you really feel like you were in sync with this guy?
Yeah, I mean, it took a lot of. I mean, personally, from the second I came down here on my visit, I mean, we connected. But as far as football, I mean, that's a whole different animal. I mean, you gotta put in the work, and that's one thing that I've appreciated a ton from him this entire journey, is that he's just been about the work. Every day, getting extra catches, working through things that we may have missed in the practice to build that confidence. So, I mean, from day one, I mean, Ricky, that entire room, I mean, they've been about the work, and I think that goes back to winter. When you're in the middle of winter workouts and your legs might be a little heavy, taking the time to get a few routes, just player-led stuff after. I mean, I appreciate that a ton, and it's fun to see that kind of come to light and come to fruition on game day. So. From the jump, I mean, I've connected with him and a bunch of the guys at a personal level, but as far as timing, anticipation, knowing where guys are going to be, I mean, that took some time and energy, and I couldn't have done it without them. And they had the energy, they had the want to, they had the work from the jump. So it's been a blast.
Graham, you see, when CD's a legend, a Florida legend. But when he played, he would go to class, big man on campus, and I don't even think cell phones were invented back when he was playing.
I'd pretend like I was going to class.
My man still has a landline, believe it or not, at his house. But with that being said, what's the relationship with a quarterback in the SEC and their phone? Like, do you shut it off on Friday, on Saturday on game time? Are you scrolling through things to kind of relax? What's that like?
No, I'm not really. I mean, I have social media and I have all that stuff, but I really have one of my core values is I place my values in my relationships and face-to-face relationships, and really put an effort into that. So, I mean, yeah, I have them, but I don't spend really any time leading up to the game, because believe it or not, there's a whole nother area called like the game plan and stuff like that I should be studying. So. I'm not really spending too much time on social media.
But with that being said, afterwards, when you turn on your phone after that game on the road, monster game, 400-plus yards, huge victory, what's your phone look like? How many text messages did you have?
I got a few. But, I mean, that's like I said, I mean, I got a ton of great people, great support staff around me, and my support staff, my family. I got a bunch of great people in my life, so – for me, it's just really taking the time to really connect with them and talk with them after that, because we all shared that moment. So for me, I mean, you get a bunch of texts, a bunch of stuff, but I mean, that's why this game's so wonderful, because it brings people together. You can enjoy moments together, and I mean, that's an unforgettable night that the entire organization here can share with their families. So for me, it's yeah, you get a bunch of texts, but it's fun because you get to share that with a bunch of people.
All right, there you go.
Well done.
Graham Mertz.
And there's Ben.
And we welcome in Ben Troupe. And you're always muted. You're always muted at first. It's almost like I can guarantee, Ben, that your mic is not on when you do this. Hold on a second. Hold on there, buddy.
While Ben does.
Ben Troupe. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
What's up? What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
I said, I don't know what's up with these starting Florida quarterbacks and these deep voices, right? I know that Anthony Richardson had a deep voice last year. Graham Mertz, his voice might be a little deeper, but
I feel like he's a bass. Less baritone, more bassy.
Exactly. You can listen if you catch him around a bar, not saying you would around 11:30, and you got Brende in there playing the guitar or whatever, and Grant just walked by. But I will say this about Graham. We can't say thank you enough for how he's played, right? 2 interceptions on the year. He's proven to be durable. I had a chance to sit down with Shane Matthews, man, and he said when he sees Graham Mertz on the road, he don't really try to have the conversation with him. He said, but when he ever sit down with him, Buddy and Brende, he gonna ask him, man, why'd you choose what you chose coming out of high school? Why didn't you go to the Clemsons or the Georgias of the world?
Have you seen his girlfriend?
Listen,
Miss Wisconsin? Maybe that's the reason.
Listen. What is it, Musburger? What is it, Merceburger? What did he say, Musburger? What did he say back in the day with Greg McElroy or whatever it was? He said AJ McCann. He said, fellas, you need to play quarterback in the SEC. I mean, it's just I'm not. But at the same time, too, that game, Graham Mertz was the best player on the field because he was the most consistent player. He's not obviously, Ricky Pearsall and our kicker, was the best players on the field. But when you look at the fact that Graham Mertz, that guy, that throw at the end, that's about to get the fact that
as good as it was.
The fact that he looked off that safety and was able to get, I'm just happy for him because people think, I said the best decision, the 2 best decisions in the offseason, the 2. One, old Coach Billy Napier making the call to say, hey, man, we got this Graham Mertz kid in the transfer portal. What's up, Graham? And Ricky Pearsall decided to come back to school for his senior year. I was just happy for those guys this weekend because it took all 60 minutes. It was ebbs and flows throughout the course of the game. But once we go back to it, 5-2 after 7 games. And I'm going to say this too. Brock Bowers is out for the rest of the year. I know we're going to get to Georgia next week. I am never, ever – listen, a player of that caliber, man, yes. I mean, I'm wishing him nothing but the best. I don't know if that improves our chances any more or less, but I just think that –
Well, I wrote about that in my column tonight. I'll tell you about it a little bit later on if I can get to the spot in real fast. I may make one comment and do the spot, and that is that what I really like, aside from the performance on the field, have you seen the way Ricky and Mertz are hanging? They're buds, man. They're tight. They're together. They really have a thing going. It's a bromance there,
hold on. Let me tell you what. Let me tell you a trend. Listen, Tony Romo. At the end of the day, when he was in the league, it was him and the tight end, right? They were best friends. Jerry Rice and Steve Young, Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, right? He better be his best friend. If I'm Ricky, I'm saying, hey man, just throw me the ball. Ricky Pearsall said, I want to come back to school to have a chance to win the Blitnikoff. Now, I know people thought he was crazy when he said that, right? I know there are players out there in college football with better stats. I don't know if it's a better receiver than Ricky Pearsall because
he made it this week. He just made the watch this week.
He's on the watch. Yeah, he's on the watch.
He did make the watch list, but it's the manner in which. Oh, and shout out to that Jackson boy. Shout out to Khalil Jackson. That catch on the sideline.
Great catch.
And I got a chance to speak to his uncle Terry. That there was a greater legacy at Florida with Willie Sr., Willie Jr., Terry Jackson. Now you got Khalil Jackson. But I'm just happy that the Florida Gators got that dub because I don't know what's up with these South Carolina fans, players, and faithful. I don't know why. The only tradition is 3 straight years going 11-2, and Steve Spurrier was the head coach. Outside of that, for sure. I know y'all got a Heisman that came through there.
By the way, Ben, this is the reason. If you're wondering why he went to Wisconsin,
that's
there you go.
Miss Wisconsin.
Miss Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Listen. At the end of the day, right? I know one thing about Graham Mertz. I know 2 things about Graham Mertz. If I don't know nothing else, one, he can see. His vision. It's fine.
We just saw that.
Where is that, buddy? Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Hold on. And number two, which is most important,
Mm-hmm.
This man has common sense. I know people think everybody got common sense. No, the hell they don't.
And he's got an eye for talent. Got an eye for talent.
And this is the thing too, right? You know what Brende just did? Brende just showed why. That's another reason why we're gonna speak up on his behalf when we out there in the street talk about Graham Mertz. He got the stats. He got the big game. And listen, and he goes, "Hey man, BlueBloods have all fun. I don't know. I don't."
Pretty girl.
Hey, shout out to Graham Mertz. Some way AJ McCarron is saying, "I'm telling you, when you start in the SEC." Graham, and listen, and Graham, I got to say this to you. I know you're gonna hear this
because he's watching the show. He watches every night.
Exactly.
What's up,
Graham? When they ask you, what does Miss Wisconsin see in me? Say it don't matter. I don't care what she's seeing me. I don't care what it is.
As long as she sees something. Yeah, right.
She was worth every interception. That's all.
But at the same time, I think at this point in the season, Brendan and Buddy, look, did we get over that Kentucky loss? Yep. Have we gotten better since Utah? Yep. And I think the thing about Florida is we number 2 in the East right now. We still control our own destiny. I know we 2 weeks away. Well, a little bit over a week away or so. From that Georgia team.
Ben, what's this right here? See that right there? What is that? What's that doing? What's it doing? Going which way? And what's this right here?
Trending.
Right here. What's that?
Yeah.
The equator. It's the equator.
This is Florida. This is Florida. And this is Georgia.
Southern equator.
Georgia, right?
Florida.
One looks like it's trending, the other looks like a vital sign. The other looks like just straight vital.
Teams either get better or worse.
Looks like Buddy's doing the robot to me.
I'm gonna read the spot real fast.
Tighten them right. It looks like Buddy Martin is dancing on this show, and I'll take that too.
He can dance, by the way. Ask him about the point someday. He's got to dance.
Let me dance this right here. Titan MRI, good friends over there. Worth the short drive to Gainesville. No insurance is no problem. You can pay with cash or card. Same day scheduling available. That's great. Still start feeling better today because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Premier independent MRI facility. Come see why hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville location regularly from Ocala, Marion County, and the villages. That's TitanMRI.com. 23 points is how much Georgia is favored by, 23.5. And although their best player is out, I haven't seen the line move yet, but maybe it has. And, let's see. I heard something tonight. I wrote about it in my column. The guy who is the biggest homer for Georgia, Mike Griffith from Dog Nation, was on Feinbaum tonight and actually was quoted as saying, Florida had a really impressive win tonight. They're getting better. And expressed concern. I'm not saying Florida's going to beat Georgia, folks, okay? I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying when I talk like this, people say, well, you're a homer. You just think Florida's going to. No, I didn't say that. I never said Florida win 9 games, which I've been quoted as by somebody saying. I just saying, when Ben, tell me if I'm wrong, as a player, you just need something to hang your hat on, right? You need a little something to say, okay, something's good happened. It's happened to us, right? All right. And I think that's the feeling you need going to this game if you're not going to get blown out. I think Florida will, as a matter of fact, Griffith said, I think it'll be a very competitive game. So there's that little tiny thing called hope, a little pearl there, which the Gator fans can hang on to because they've seen it now. They saw him come back impressively. Yeah, I know who it was. I know it was South Carolina. It wasn't Georgia. But I think this team is getting better. And my whole philosophy is, my friend Joe Williams, I said, a team this time of year either gets better or worse. Which way is Georgia going to go now without the quarterback's favorite bailout guy being in the lineup? I'm just saying, Ben. I'm just saying.
The thing about this, buddy, every week you come on here, right? You know what the consensus is when it comes to people who talk to you. They call you a homer. You're not a homer. You just calling it how you see it. Let me tell you that as a person that was blessed to be in this rivalry for 4 years. I mean, we was favored for the first 2 years. We was not favored when we was there with Zook. And last time I checked in 2002, Georgia only lost 1 game. Right? They lost 1 game. They were favored to beat us in my senior year.
And who was that? Which team did they lose to?
I'm just saying they lost. Listen, listen. In 2002, Georgia lost 1 game. In 2003, LSU lost 1 game. All I'm saying is, Georgia shown one thing this year: they are human. They can bleed. And the thing about you're not trying to watch other teams while you got the teams in front of you. But Georgia understands that while they're coming in with the better record as the better team, I think the thing about Florida is they have to decide, hey man, are you gonna believe what people say, or are you gonna go out there and prove what we know? Coaches used to say that to us all the time. It's like, look, if ain't nobody picking us to win but us, that's the best place to be. That was that. Ron Zook was not expected to beat no Georgia my junior and senior year. And the thing is, when people say, well, Georgia didn't really have nobody. Yeah, they just had David Green. They just had guys like Marcus Stroud and Thomas Davis, and Ben Watson and Fred Gibson and Terrence Edwards, a bunch of bums, right? No, I think the thing about this Florida team is this. Florida does the unthinkable next Saturday, and they get that dub. Oh, my. It does two things. One, it shows that this Florida team is trending in the right direction. And number two, you end the streak. Because the thing about this Georgia team, Georgia should have lost to Auburn. Georgia should have definitely lost to South Carolina, right? But I think the difference in Florida and Georgia is this. Throw away the records. Georgia knows how to close. Florida is learning how to close. Florida closed on Saturday.
They did.
Down 10 points in the fourth quarter on the road. I don't care who you are. That's going to be hard to beat unless you playing at Buffalo, Colorado, and you up 29-0. That's a total different game for a total different day. But I think the thing is, Brendan and Buddy, we've seen them win a lot of different ways, right? We've seen them do it in dominant fashion. We've seen it doing from come behind fashion. I think for Georgia, to beat Georgia, you have to do one thing. You cannot make mistakes. Because if you do, they're going to capitalize on it. But I just think that this is a different Florida team. I think that Billy Napier understands that you're a part of this rivalry, but you got to go out there and he said it himself. At a certain point, you got to put your hands on them, right? And you got to look them in the eye. Because Georgia has that moxie that Florida used to have that, hey, man, we don't think they can beat us. I know different, Buddy, and I know different, Brendan, and all I'm saying is, while I wish that Brock Bowers was playing, I don't like to see guys go out for the season. I think that's going to pave the way for someone else.
I want him out of there. He's a Gator killer. I want him out of there. Let me just say one thing. Brendan and I don't agree on this.
That's just a fan in me, but I will say this. Outside of Brock Bowers, there is nobody on Georgia that scares Florida. There is nobody else. Nobody else scares him. I don't make Florida the favorite, but 23.5? Like, really? 23.5? Come on, man. I think those type of lines really get on my nerves, but like I said, we still got a full week away. I'm just happy that both teams coming in with momentum. Florida's coming in with momentum because they 5-2. Obviously, Georgia ain't lost in a while. They 7-0. But I've seen some crazy things happen in Jacksonville, man.
Let me say what you just said right there. First of all, when your quarterback, Carson Beck, has been playing well, but he's always had his bailout guy.
Yep.
He knew he could go to Brock Bowers and when he was in trouble. When you don't have that guy, you start looking other places, your eyesight doesn't sound. And look, I've seen a lot. I think I've seen about 60 of these Georgia games, I believe. Maybe more out of the 100 I've seen them. I've seen this happen myself before my very eyes. I've seen games where teams were favored, and then I've seen crazy bounces of the ball. We've all know about, Run Lindsay and all that stuff, crazy thing. And something about this time of year, I call it the Ides of October, when things start happening, like around Halloween, weird stuff happens. And the first weird thing to happen is that Brock Bowers is not going to play. Now, we'll see what happens. They got superior talent, whatever. I don't mean the best talent doesn't always win, Ben. So I'm not predicting they're going to win, but I'm also not ruling it out. Okay, Brenda, are you going to come around to this conversation or not?
Well, I mean, what is there to say? I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Brock Bauer being out of is a huge part of it, but I also understand what Ben's saying. There's going to be I don't know who the backup is, but there's going to be some. What?
Listen,
the guy's name is Delph.
I'm going to show you. And listen, and Brent, this is crazy. I typed in 2002, right? Florida versus Georgia. Look what that headline says. If you can see it, say.
You're reversed. It's reversed because you get into your mirror. It says Gators.
You got your mirror image.
You got it reversed.
It says Gators wreck Georgia's perfect season. Right? That's what it said in 2002. Oh, listen. Let me
Wow.
tell you.
Wow.
And I think the thing about it is this. Yes, Brock Bowers not that definitely helps with optimism. I see everybody, but I just think that at the end of the day, right? Players control it between them lines. And the thing about Florida, Georgia is, and I don't care what Georgia says. When Florida beat Georgia, what back in 2020, whatever it was, when Kyle Pitts was hurt in the second half and they couldn't cover them, they couldn't cover them out and up routes without tight ends. I just know this about Georgia. I don't care what they say, right? I don't care what they say. For Florida to win, they got to be in the game in the fourth quarter. If they're in the game in the fourth, they got a shot. I'm just saying they got a shot. Because
we welcome into the show Franz Beard. Hello, Mr. Beard. How are you?
Another day in paradise, boys.
Francis, how are you?
Another day, like I said, another day in paradise. All is well.
Francis, jump in here and comment on this. I'm not sitting here making a prediction as far as who's going to win the game, but you've seen this. You've seen almost as many games as I have. This game is unique. When things start happening, coming unravel, other things happen that you don't expect. And I wrote in my column tonight, there's a reason they call it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, which I'm still invoking because Bill Costello's percent, because you need a few of those refreshments sometimes after the game, either on the winning or losing side. It's a tough game to lose or win. And I'm just saying, I have a little feeling going on here. There's something happening. France, do you have that feeling?
I think I think there's a confidence that the Gators could play them well. I'm not saying win, but play them well because, as Ben just said, if you get to the fourth quarter and it's a tight ball game, you never know who's going to have puckering rectums. And Georgia's got challenged. People forget Georgia was really challenged by South Carolina. That was a close ball game. Georgia, South Carolina, if they had protected Spencer Rattler a couple times, South Carolina would have won that ball game. So I'm not saying that Florida wins, but I believe that the confidence they have from the way they came back, and again, if they had beaten South Carolina 44-0, everybody would have just written it off and said, yeah, South Carolina's terrible. Everybody knows it. Yada, 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 yada. Goodness, you look at what's happened here and how the dynamic has changed because of the way they have won. They came back, which took guts, which took gumption, which took good play calling, great plays in the clutch. Nobody's wrecked and puckered. They just played tight. They just played well. They didn't play tight. So if they can get to the fourth quarter, this is how it happens. This is how upsets happen. One team gets there and looks up around and says, well, we're still standing. We were supposed to have been KO'd by halftime. And all of a sudden they get a little bit of courage that maybe they didn't have before, a little bit of jump in their step, and a little bit of confidence that, hey, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
Yeah, all of sports is based on underdog having a chance. Look, in the Kentucky Derby, I know it's horse racing. The favorite never wins. And the Kentucky Derby hardly ever wins. There are upsets all the time, bigger than this. There have been bigger upsets in Florida beating Georgia. But when you're coaching, I talked to Coach Spurrier about this. He said what he always said was, when you're facing an insurmountable task, like you got no chance, say it's no big deal. It's no big deal. And Ben, about how he coaches like that, no big deal. Playing Georgia, no big deal. Just another team. They can beat Georgia. Are they supposed to? No. That's why Florida's a 23.5 point underdog, a line which I suspect will shrink starting tomorrow, my opinion. But so you can't be a negative person if you've got a team that's got a chance. a puncher's chance, as they say, Brendan. At least they've got a puncher's chance.
I honestly think that, and if you're an SEC team, if you're Florida, you got a puncher's chance or you should in every game that you get into, because you never know how young kids and guys are going to play on Saturday, right? You just don't know who's going to be motivated and who isn't going to be motivated. That's the great parity, or one of the great things about college football. Is that any team in Division 1A can jump up and beat you. We see it all the time in the likes of Vanderbilt and and all these other programs. Even look at Missouri and what they're doing this year. I mean, who thought Missouri would be as good as they are?
Not I.
Yeah. So you've got, and we can go on. We've gone on and on about why that is, and we understand why that is, and the changing of college football, which is exciting. But in this particular matchup, it's a rivalry game, right? So it's all bets are sort of out the window, because if it's something, this game is played in another town in between the two towns in which these schools are from, because it's such a rivalry, right? So you just don't know who's going to get up for it. And, Florida's got a little payback. They were embarrassed last year. And I think they want to come back. I think, and it's always about, like Ben said, the momentum going into the game, because now you lose Brock Bauer. You're coming off a big SEC road win. You're starting to believe a lot in yourself, and you have a bye week. Right? What are the statistics of how many teams lose or win after a 2 weeks of preparing for another opponent? I don't have in front of me, but they're pretty high that you actually win that game. So Georgia's due to lose something, because they haven't played all that dominant football
they're off
this
year.
Week.
They're off this week too.
I understand.
I'll throw one thing in there too that nobody is mentioning so far. Florida is going to go into that ball game with a quarterback who has 39 career starts.
Mm-hmm.
He's played in the Big House. He's played in the Horseshoe. He's played in some pretty big stadiums everywhere he's been. There is no substitute. Everybody wants to talk about all those freshmen. Yeah, those freshmen are going to have to play big.
No such thing as a freshman anymore. Those guys are ready to play when it comes
I'll give Ben a good example of a game Ben played in. What a difference it made in 2002 to have Rex Grossman, who had been there and done that at quarterback. And I'll throw one other thing at you. Florida suddenly in that game, Rex has to become the master of the 2-inch pass, and Georgia had no clue. Now, what they didn't understand was Rex had tendonitis in his arm, and he couldn't throw more than about a 2-inch pass, but they didn't know that. And this is the other thing about bye weeks, is sometimes you come in there, you do something that nobody knows, nobody expects. Georgia came in there, everything prepared for a vertical game, and here is dink, dunk, and they couldn't get the ball back. I think the time of possession of that game was almost like 40 minutes for Florida and 20 minutes for Georgia. They couldn't get the ball back.
Well, let me do this, and then Brendan, we'll take a real quick break before we get to. Let me just get a quick question answered by you guys, and then we'll take a quick break and do our spot for Meldon, and Loren should be around the corner. Is this a different team, Ben, that's coming to this game than it was 3 weeks ago? Is the Florida team different? And so, how?
They're not even. It's not even close how much different they are. The difference than 3 weeks ago is what Franz just said. They're confident. Think about this. Florida got the most freshmen playing in college football, not in the SEC. They got the most freshmen playing. And the thing about it is, you don't play as a freshman just because guys get hurt. They will find everybody they can to keep freshmen from playing. But yes, they're a different team because they've been through it all. You lost the first game of the year, you come back and you bounce back. You have an embarrassing loss against Kentucky, you come back and you bounce back. You get a big win against Tennessee, you get a big win on the road. I think the thing about Florida is Spurrier used to look at us and say, man, who you going to trust, man? Y'all boys act like we ain't slumming over here. It ain't like, yes, Georgia is the better team. So Georgia was the better team in 2002 and 2003 against us. So Ron Zook and Steve Spurrier, what they good at, man, they good at getting in your head, making you believe. The job of a coach is to make you do something you don't want to do to accomplish something.
Make you believe.
Making you believe is one thing, buddy, but it's like this. Ron Zook made me do stuff. Not that I want to do. If y'all go back to 2003, put how many plays I had on offense with every other tight end in 2003. I bet you I had more than all of them because Zook said, you ain't coming out the game. He said, you ain't coming out. Go back to 2003. I catch a pass on the sideline. I am getting ready to run out against Georgia. I'm getting ready to run out the field. You know who sprinted down the field? Zook, because he know me and pushed me back out there. Get your behind back because he said, you got to give it up, man. He said, if our best players ain't on the field. And I think what Florida is doing now is this. I got to start against Georgia as a freshman. It wasn't because I was ready, because I don't know what AWOL did that week, but it let me know, number one, I wasn't strong enough. And number two, it's a different world in Jacksonville. So are they a different team? Yes. But as Coach Bird would say, if I got to motivate you in week 8, something's wrong with you. You need motivation for week 1, week 2. Week 8, get your behind out there and let's go. Because, like I said, I played against David Pollock. I played against, Kendrell Bell, Marcus Stroud, Richard Seymour, who's in the Hall of Fame. I played against Boss Bailey and all these guys. They lost. With all that firepower, they lost. And it wasn't because we were a better team. Spurrier said, look, man, I don't think they're better than us. Ron Zook said, I don't like those guys. And I think at the end of the day, it's not an upset if Florida beats Georgia. Florida be upset. It's not an upset. If Florida beats Georgia, you know what people going to say? They're going to make more excuses for Georgia than you ever seen. I guarantee it. All that hype going in becomes, well, friends, you know how it is. Well, Georgia don't got Brock Bowers. Guess what? You know who led the SEC in yards going into 2002? It was Rex Grossman throwing to Taylor Jacobs. He got hurt in the first quarter, and we had to change the whole game plan. Rex goes on and has the most completions and most yards, I think, thrown up until then, and we beat him. We didn't make no excuse. Guess who had the excuses? Oh, well, we couldn't. Thomas Davis, he's a bum. Remember that guy that played all those years with the Carolina Panthers, had 3 straight torn ACLs, him and Luke Kuechly? After the game, I told Thomas Davis, if we throw a screen and you're lined up inside of me, you can't make the play. They kept going, slide over, Thomas, and he'll slide over. So, if he slide over, I'll slide over. And guess what we did in 2003? The same thing. And you know who scored in 2003? Carlos Perez. So I'm not saying this is what's going to happen in this year, but listen, you know what people get pissed off me at that? Because people say, "Ben, you think David Pollock better than Alex Brown?" Hell no. Nope. I don't care what David Pollock did. He's 3 straight years of a first-team All-American. David Pollock, we didn't even double him. Max Starks and them would go, David Pollock. And I'm just telling you, I get sick of, being from the great state of Georgia, I get sick of this. Georgia is not unbeatable. They just ain't been beat. They are not unbeatable. So I just think for me, I'm like Lawrence Wright. I don't like them dudes in red and black. I can't stand them. I used to like that color combination. I don't even like it no more because, like I said, man, they can be beat. South Carolina should have done it. And if Auburn can cover Brock Bowers in the fourth quarter, who knows what happened in that game? So for me, I don't root for other teams. That's why I don't do it, because they let me down. Shane Beamer and Coach Hugh Freeze and all them. But for me, I think they're right. I think they're ready. I think we can beat them. I think Gator Nation need to stop waiting on Graham Mertz to make a mistake. I would throw it to Pearsall and company. And if our run game is there and our defense get off the third down, we're gonna beat them boys from Athens.
All right, got to pick it again next week. We're going to take a break. We got a spot here with Meldon Law, and we should have Loren Meadows on the other side. And Franz is going to answer the question: is this a different team? Brende, ready for the Meldon Law spot? For you, Meldon. Jeffrey, you do a show where you get asked a lot of questions. I've got one for you right now, okay, regarding how do you know whether your case is being handled right and what to do about it. In medicine, you can get a second opinion if you're not satisfied with the doctor's opinion that they have. And do you have that in law? Can you do that with lawyers?
Yeah, buddy. As a matter of fact, we get quite a few calls from folks that have signed up, particularly with the big box law firms that they do a hell of a good job of putting ads on TV. But after that, they don't really measure up to the way we try to create a client experience that's outstanding. And we're always willing to review a case and give a second opinion, just like with a doctor, because not all law firms are created equal.
I guess that's the normal thing. Just go to Meldon Law, Google it, and find out, and just give them a call. And like you say, if you come in, you get to see a Meldon. You don't get shuffled off to somebody else. You get to see a Meldon, and that's good to know, because a lot of people don't know how to do that stuff, like me. And maybe you can coach us through. So Meldon Law, they won't back down. They will take your questions about your case if you have a question.
Yes, whether it's a new case or an existing case, give us a call. We'd be glad to go over it with you. There's no charge to review your case with you. And a lot of times it makes good sense just to get a second opinion.
Good stuff from Meldon Law. They don't back down, but they will give you a second opinion. All right, we're back. So we got a bunch of people there at the poker table. See Loren Meadows who's joined us finally. What's up, Loren?
How you guys
We're
doing?
in the middle of a discussion. We're going to let Franz have a shot. He's been waiting patiently. The question on the floor was, is this a different team now that Florida is playing with than it was 3 weeks ago? Franz, go ahead.
It's a confident team now that I think understands it can come back. And a win like that can change you. It really, really can change you. It can change. It's kind of like Doring's got a touchdown. Changed the entire career of Danny Werfel. I mean, and it changed Chris Doring's career too. He went from walk-on to an All-American, all because of that one ball game and the confidence he got. If one player can get that, imagine what happens when an entire team gets inspired. And things like that happen. Teams get inspired by doing the unexpected. I think the Gators in 2002, who beat Georgia, looked back on games they had lost prior to that and said, what in the hell were we doing losing those ball games? Look what we just did. But there's a confidence that resonates when you do the unusual, when you get that, when you have been beaten down and you rise up off the floor. Was there? Some of you guys are wrestling fans. You remember all of a sudden there's Dusty Rhodes and he's been beaten to a pulp. He's bloody. And all of a sudden you see a hand come off the mat and Dusty is like this. And all of a sudden Ric Flair or somebody else says, uh-oh, he's alive. And Dusty said, and then afterward, Dusty, I knew I was coming back, baby. I knew I was coming back. He didn't have me. I was going to kill him. That's what I was going to do. I was going to kill him. My daddy strapped my ass with barbed wire when I was a boy and told me don't ever give up. And this is what happens with teams. They come off the mat and they suddenly have something that wasn't there before. And I think this Florida team has it. Does that mean they're going to beat Georgia? No, but I think they're going to be better prepared to play Georgia than they were before.
All right, good job. All right, Ben, you're next, and Loren, you're next.
Don't front on Hulk Hogan, by the way, because his comeback was, when the Hulkster was down, man, do it.
No, I
just wanted to say before you go, Loren, there's someone put up here. I don't know if this is accurate. I'd like someone to give me an accurate line. My last time I saw it, Florida was a 23.5 underdog. Now, somebody put up there that said, let's see, Gator Swag said the point spread for UF Georgia was 23.4, now down to 14. I don't believe that for a minute. Can somebody look to check it? I tried to check it, couldn't get it. There's someone who follows that sort of stuff. Please get that and post it for us. Go ahead, Loren.
Yeah, I think they're much more the defense, I'm still concerned about the defense. I think the defense is regressing a little. The tackling has kind of suffered a little bit. I think they'll be, like I said, prepared and ready to go. But yeah, I mean, I think as far as the offense and the special teams obviously are improved. The kicking game has become a weapon with Trey Smack. So I think when you get down, you can almost count on 3 points on most drives. But I mean, Graham Mertz has continued to improve. They've started to incorporate some of the younger receivers. I think they found that they're a much better football team with at least one tight end on the field instead of the two. And I think they're playing their best skill players on offense right now. So yeah, I would say from the beginning of the season to now, they're a much better team. Like Fran said, will they beat Georgia? We don't know, but yes, they're more equipped for that. Like I said, I think Eugene Wilson III has given the offense a little bit better tempo. He gives it another wrinkle, and with another week to get healthy, even Graham Mertz said that they were kind of looking forward to the bye week to get their feet back under them and things like that. So yeah, I think they're a much better team than when we saw them last.
Okay, Perry Mason says he saw 23 also. So, all right. So, yeah, about those freshmen, I'd like to.
I just saw 17.5, by the way.
Where was that? Do you know?
Something called Odd Shark says.
Okay, Odd Sharks is pretty good. Yeah, it's dropped quite a bit, a touchdown. I'm not surprised. I think it'll be down to 14, 15 by the time they kick it off. Could be. I wanted to say, we talk about the freshmen. On one hand, they say, well, we got too many freshmen left. On the other hand, some of the best players, you mentioned Trey Wilson, are freshmen. He's no freshman. I mean, he walks out there like he's been playing ball a while. He's one of the biggest threats that Florida's got. I can't wait to see Andy Jean and Aiden Mizell get on the field. One of them's hurt. I forget which one. But
Andy Jean.
But I think there's some talent. Freshmen can play now. I mean, they're like they've been there a long time. They came in early. They worked out. They've been in a program. It's not like a normal freshman. I get it that they're not as seasoned, but guys like that can be a huge asset, and you get the added advantage was the other team doesn't really know them, don't know the talents.
Yeah, but I mean, our freshmen, those guys are right there because they've earned the right to do it. And the thing about it is,
I'm saying that, yeah.
But I do agree they no longer, they still got the FR next to their name. But I just think that I hate to be the whole the Florida Georgia is different, but it is. It is. I mean, people get to make names for themselves. People get to, have, you can have one of those type of performances that's gonna live on forever. I bet you Georgia ain't gonna be Florida at night no more. We ruined that. 2002 was the only night game I can remember. Florida, Georgia. They won't do that no more. It's gonna be 3:30 on CBS or whatever. The last Saturday, in October. But I just know that this Florida team, they starting to understand why they do all that stuff, that all these different phases that they got with a guy like Billy Napier. And I ain't with that moral victory stuff either. But Georgia's the best team in the country. Where's Captain Obvious? But they can bleed. And they was dominating everybody. But I think the thing about now is though, and that's the former player in me. All right, so it's not like Georgia ain't that all them years we was winning. It's not like Georgia was an inferior team. They just got beat. And I think now it's not that Florida's coming in the inferior team. Billy Napier don't like Kirby Smart. He respects him, right? I can say that. He respects Kirby Smart. He don't like him. You don't supposed to like him. Ron Zook used to tell us all that shaking hands stuff. He said, I ain't like Philip Fulmer. I ain't like Mark Ritt. He ain't like none of them. That's how you feel as a player? I don't like them dudes. I respect them. And I think the thing is, this Florida team this year, we done seen them win in all kinds of ways. I think now Florida should know this. It don't matter how, just get it done. It can be the ugliest win ever. It can be the ugliest game. Get that W. Because at the end of the day, when people say Florida can't beat Georgia, says who? I mean, listen, Carson Beck is cool. He ain't Stetson Bennett. I'm just saying, and Stetson Bennett lost in this series. So I just think that Florida got to do what they've been doing. And I think at the end of the day, right, Florida's down 10 on the road against a South Carolina team that should have beat Georgia at home.
The worst team, the worst defense, 125th defense in college football as well. I mean, you have there's perspective there a little bit. I mean, I hear what you're saying though, Ben. I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying to you,
listen, in 2002,
it ain't 2002 right now.
Hold on. We were 0-13 on third down. And
okay.
We were 0-13 on third down.
Got it.
All of Brendan, how many games you lost in 2002?
But it's 2002, Ben.
What I'm saying is, how many games did they lose in 2002?
Who are you asking? Which team?
I'm asking you.
Florida?
How many games did Georgia lose in 2002?
None.
They lost one.
Yeah.
It could happen. That's all I'm saying.
Of course it can happen. I get that.
Yeah,
but I hear your philosophy on it, and I understand. Yeah. But I'm just saying, look, they came back at the 10-point deficit on a really bad defense, right?
Yeah.
They were down 10 to that defense.
They played Georgia pretty well, didn't they? So look,
I get it, but I'm saying you got a rivalry game here where both teams are going to get up for it. Not just Florida, so's Georgia, right? So it's not just a one-sided deal, and that was my point earlier.
No. I get it. Listen. I'm biased every week when it comes to them Florida boys. I get it, but this is where I get it. But my thing is not to compare the two. Remember what happened when Florida was getting ready to play Tennessee, and we was like, oh no, based on what you had
Tennessee
seen,
sucks. I mean, we found that out.
They suck.
They
lost one game.
Yeah, they don't suck. They don't suck. They don't suck.
They could win this. Could beat Alabama this weekend, maybe.
We'll see. Yeah. I think Alabama's right at that ship.
Yeah, I think Brendan hit it on the head when he said that both teams are going to get up for the game, and I think that's where people sometimes think that Florida's the only one practicing. And that's my point when they talk about Graham Mertz throwing the ball like he's Patrick Mahomes, like the other team doesn't have safeties that are on scholarship too. I mean, you gotta keep it in perspective, and I can see what Brendan's saying. I mean, it's just one of those things where a lot of us have seen strange things happen. You've been part of strange things in that rivalry, and it's just one of those games where there's always some type of storyline and things like that in this game, and obviously Brock Bowers, not being part of the game is probably the reason that the spread has already dropped by 6 points or so. But I mean, I think that just if you,
you think, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, and so it's one of those things where, like somebody said, Treon Harris beat Georgia. I mean, a little different Georgia team, but you've seen different things happen in this game, and it's just one of those things. The build up a lot of times is sometimes better than the game, unfortunately. But I guess a better question would be if Florida would just go out and play them close. Is that something that Billy Napier and his staff can hang their hat on, or do they really need to go out and win this football game? I mean, I think that's it'll be interesting to see what the storyline is if it's a close 7-point loss.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing before I get off here. That is that one of the problems we have today in this country, and we have no dialogue. We cannot have a conversation without it being polarized, especially in politics. As soon as you open your mouth for it, the guy accuses you of being a zealot for some party or whatever. You can't have an opinion unless people want to brand you, whether you're a homer, whether you're a negative Nelly, whatever. It's possible to have a conversation, intelligent conversation, with opinions without having a debate or hollering and screaming at people. Only thing I'm saying, and everybody can state their position, is I'm saying that I see some hope now that I had not seen 3 weeks ago. This team is better. They're playing better. I go back to my theory. You're going north or you're going south or medium at this time of year. Your team is likely to be what it is. So I see what I'm saying to you is that Gator fans have a great sense of relief going to this open day, having a puncher's chance, something they didn't have 3 weeks ago. Everybody take 30 seconds, give your final opinion. That's mine.
Well, I mean, I'll go. I'll say this: if you go back to last year's game, the Florida Gators should have picked off Stetson Bennett 5 times. They picked him off twice. They dropped 3 interceptions. One went for, I think, a 71-yard touchdown to Brock Bowers. So if you look at it from that standpoint and you say, well, could they pick Carson Beck off 3 times? If they do that, then, they could be in the game. So, I mean, they do have a puncher's chance. It's a neutral site game, SEC game. And, I think, it'll be interesting what we feel about the game a week from now.
All right, Franz.
Florida goes into the game with a quarterback who started 39 ball games in Division I. That gives Florida reason to believe, more so last year than a quarterback in Anthony Richardson, who had started, I think, 8 ball games. When you're playing a team like Georgia, the guy who handles the ball on every play on offense is your most critical guy. Florida's got a better chance this year than last year because of the guy who's handling the ball and his experience. I'm not saying he's as talented as Anthony, but he's got a whole lot more experience in him. And that's the place to start. You got a little bit of momentum, a quarterback with some experience. Florida's got a chance. Not saying they're going to win, but they got a chance. And they got the element of confidence going with them. And guys, I'll throw that one last thing at you. You never know what a coach like Billy Napier might pull out of his hat, given a week to prepare for it.
Yeah.
We've seen it before in Florida, Georgia, especially like 77 when Wes Chandler suddenly lines up at running back.
All right.
Okay.
Hugh Lee says you can't sit there and tell me you're 100% confident in our defense and what. No, nobody's 100% confident. We're not saying that. You think every team is perfect? Every team has deficiency, including Georgia. Every team's got some issue. Ben finishes off.
Last year's team at one point, I think Florida was losing 28-3 going into the half. They came out and scored 17 points in the third quarter. And I want you to look at that sideline. That's a fully healthy team now. Look at that sideline. That's with Brock Bowers, and that was a fluke play, with him on the sideline. We didn't get it. But we got more than a puncher's chance, only because this team they've been building every single week. I don't know if that gets us to win, but I think for this Florida team, they got to show improvement. I said this. We said it before the season. I don't think many of us had this game penciled in as a win, even with us thinking they can go 9-3 or 8-4, right? I don't think, but I think that when it comes to this Florida team this year, you got to keep playing with confidence. You know how great it is as a player when the whole world think you're going to lose? You know how loose you can play? When nobody think you're going to win. Big bad Georgia, don't nobody think you can beat them. And they earn and deserve all the praise they've been getting. I'm giving them nothing, but maybe it's the player in me, the former player in me. I've seen this before. I've been there firsthand. So and me being in it, they ain't got nothing to do with what's going to go on.
I got you.
In 2 weeks, but at the end of the day, do we got to punch a chance? What a difference a couple of weeks make.
Yeah.
Because 5-2 after 7 games, second in the East, still control our own destiny. We'll see what happens, man. I know we're gonna have a show next week, but I like their chances. All
right, Brendan, you finish us off. Brendan, you take us home.
I mean, I don't think Florida can win the game. I just don't think they don't have the personnel. We can look at last year. We didn't win with AR. He's pretty good.
They're better without him. They're a better team without him, by the way.
You know what? It's my time. So
I'm
you can't talk. No talking.
No,
I didn't interrupt you. You don't get to just talk all over me. No.
Okay, sorry.
No, wag the finger.
I thought I had the name on the show. That's okay.
That you got to come up with some better stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. So, end of the day, I just don't think. I think Florida has improved. I think they've gotten better. I think it was a great win on the road. I think beating any SEC team on the road is a great win. I don't underestimate the fact that they have progress and they've gotten better. But I agree a lot with what Loren said and what's said before is that the defense has seemed to miss a step now. And I just don't know how that affects a game like this. It's sort of South Carolina ended up being sort of the shootout, right? How many points? Whoever's got the most points at the end wins. I mean, I know that's how football works, but I'm just saying, when you got a team like Georgia who's got a pretty great defense, I'm concerned with the line of scrimmage. I get concerned with, how does Florida, Graham Mertz can be great and he could, be, experience with development. But if he's not getting blocks, he's going to get shots. And, I fear for, him. This is a game that, a guy like him could get hurt. He's taken almost every game. He's taken a considerable blow. So those are the kind of things that I think about. I think although they're headed the right direction, and I think actually when you look at South Carolina and you look at the game and how it was called, Billy did a much better way of preparing. A lot of the things they did were because of formation. It was smarter and better and getting guys in space, spreading out the defense. I think they did a lot of smart things, and I think that will, carry over. But I just think this particular year, it will be a tall order to beat Georgia.
Okay.
That's what I've said all along. So
I've got next week to sort that out. All right, guys, good job tonight. Thank you for everything you've done. Ben, thank you. Loren, thank you. Franz, thank you. We'll see you folks tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Brendan, let's wrap it up here and talk about tomorrow's show with Urban Meyer.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody. Thank you. Rensstar Medical Research, I'm waiting to talk about also. They, of course, have a high-quality patient-centered clinical research facility right in Ocala. They bring cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala in areas like Alzheimer's, dementia, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraines, fibromyalgia, many of the things that affect us here in our community. If you would like to be a part of helping to get this information, you can go to renstar.net, perhaps qualify for one of these clinical research trials, be a part of that. Since its inception in 1998, Renstar participated in more than 700 clinical research trials, continue to partner with prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies throughout the medical industry. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today.
All right. Well, that'll do it for tonight, folks. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We say Renstar. We say thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to our guests. Thanks for participating. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the way out the door. And enjoy your weekend of college football, even though you're not watching the Gators play. And we will talk to you on Monday.
Tomorrow, actually, with Urban Meyer. We'll talk to you tomorrow with Urban
Well, yeah, we will have that's right. We have our show tomorrow with Urban Meyer. We usually go live about 8:30 in the morning, and then you can catch it throughout the day. It'll be called Best Fridays in Football. You can't miss it. Check it out. Again, those 53% of you, I'm after you. You guys got to subscribe. So, good night, Dad. Good night, everybody. Have a good night. And as always, go Gators.